diucapkan for all who are here currently in this morning. And then for those who are currently following us towards or through our social life, media social, actually, we also would like to welcome you. And then on behalf of the organizer, which is UTS Publisher, we would like to say thank you also to the Academic Resource Center of UTS for providing this amazing venue for us to have this, our first book talk series, okay, of this year. So we are going to have several talk series, definitely, okay, and then this is one of the first one. Today we are going to cover a total of 2 books. Okay, and so one of the books that going to be covered is the one that already been published, okay, entitled Transformational Leadership, Group Cohesiveness and Performance of Cooperative Movement. Okay, and then also we are honored to have the writer itself actually here today with us, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Zainal Munshid Harun. So allow me to give a little bit kind of introductions, okay, regarding our writers. Dr. Zainal is currently as Associate Professor and Dean of Postgraduate Studies at the University of Technology Sarawak. I mean, you can actually see the details of his introduction here behind his book. Right, okay, and then he also as the internal auditor for MyRA, assessor for the Malaysian Qualification Agency MQA. It's one of the we have to fear him actually in terms of what we call MQA. Yeah, he's one of the panel, and then a very successful one also. He reviewed numbers of journal, okay, coming from International Journal of Cooperative Studies, Malaysian Journal of Cooperative Management, and also editor for short case studies in the Business and Management School for University of Technology Sarawak. And then he is actually one, currently is the most suitable writers for the books entitled that we are going to discuss today, since he has also industrial experience with companies such as Maybank General Assurance, Citylink Express Sdn Berhad, and Hanaku Insurance Brokers Sdn Berhad. Other than that, he also qualified training, which he received his qualification from the Human Resource Department Fund, HRDF, Malaysian Certified Trainer Certificate, and also coming from the this what we call Vocational Training Management, Department of Skill Development Malaysia, JPK. Okay, and then for this, we would like to say thank you to Dr. Zainal, and thank you very much for being here with us today. Yeah, we are honored for your presence. Right, okay, and then we are going to start with several questions, okay, about or related to the book, and definitely after that we are going to open the session for question and answer from the audience, and also audience here that's currently present with us at this ARC of UTS, and also for those who are currently following us, okay, using online or through our social media platform. Right, now, Dr. Zainal, okay, can you kindly, as a first question today, can you kindly give us a briefing of the content of your published book with the title Transformational Leadership, Dr. Zainal? If you can kindly give us a little bit of briefly explanation of what actually the current content that your book and what the things that you really would like to explain through the books that you already published.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, my colleagues, Mr. Moderator, Dr. Rahmat. And first and foremost, is very grateful to be here. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank the UTS publisher for giving me this opportunity to in bahasa they call it bedah buku. That is very what we call a common nomenclature when we talk about this book series talks. This opportunity for me to some sort of sharing my inaugural books, this transformational leadership, cohesiveness and performance cooperative of a cooperative movement. when we want to highlight in terms of what we publish or we write, actually is all about the in terms of the first that trigger you why actually you want to write books or articles or any other form of communication. Yeah, your interests, what motivates you, who motivates you actually. That actually is come from your heart and soul, and from your perhaps your daily experience, from your readings, from your contingency or situation that happened to you. That trigger you, that motivate you why you want to write in certain books or certain publications. With that regards, allow me, Mr. Moderator, to share with you actually why actually I choose and I select and finally I make up my mind to embark to this transformational leadership as a key point actually, especially in the cooperative movements. Yeah, just to start with one narrative. My late father-in-law, he was a Feda settler, peneroka. In Feda settler, Mr. Moderator, they have this the establishment of a cooperative movement, yeah, koperasi, very small cooperative movement that's you know established in most of the Feda settler, right? So my late father-in-law is one of the in cooperative movements. Those who are not familiar with cooperative movement, they have established, they have a form of cooperative that consists of, they call it ALK, Ahli Lembaga Koperasi, board members, right? 5 to 10 of board members. And he was one of the board members, right? And he very active, he very enthusiastic, and he very energetic in doing these. He made sure that the cooperative movements are really active, perform, all right, with the existence of all or others organizational members or board members ahli lembaga koperasi yang lain. So I observe he was with that cooperative movements, I think quite some time, 5 to 10 years, right? And from that moment, I observe, I analyze in terms of how this cooperative movement sustain and how these cooperative movements move forward in terms of maintaining their performance, and in the same time, how these board members communicate, interact, and also what we call work together in order to make sure that this cooperative movement achieve certain level of a standard, especially in terms of the profitability and also sustainability. And of course, along the way, there is a lot of challenge, obstacles, issue arise in order to make sure that the cooperative movement that he involved sustain and also and finally can give benefit advantage to all the cooperative movement members. That actually trigger me, right, in writing this book actually, and it also transformed myself to look into all the three aspects of a very important aspect, very crucial aspect, very pivotal aspect in the cooperative movement. The first one in terms of the leadership, the second one into how you contact and you connect with all the cooperative movement members, and finally in terms of the cooperative movement performance itself. So these are three key points that when I observe, I analyze, I find out some of these three key elements we can make do some of the contributions, how we want to improve, how we want to makes this cooperative movement, at the another level as compared to other sectors in Malaysian's situation. So I transformed these all the three key points in my doctorate, my thesis, and Alhamdulillah, things going smooth. And then with these other key elements, again, I transformed it to this book that's divided. I divided to this 5 chapter. Yeah, so I think today I think it's a great honor for me to highlight all the 5 chapter that I already share in these books, right? So that actually the introduction or the mukadimah, right? As why actually trigger me, motivate me, inspire me to devote myself from that's what we call phenomenons, and transform to this my doctorate, and finally with this, I think this is one of the my contributions by transform it in the form of books. Yeah. Is it okay?
Please proceed.
Right. So that actually, I think everybody that's would like to involve in any article, you have to start with something that you want, something that interests you, especially as academicians. By hook or by crook, you have to write, you have to do some article as well, etc., etc. And as I mentioned, I divide this book, this transformational leadership, group consider and performance of cooperative movement in 5 chapters. In 5 chapters, and I start this chapter 1 by by highlighting the cooperative movement around the globe. Yeah, so the authors highlights about this. The general ideas of the cooperative movement around the globe, whereby it's more than 8 million of these people around the world. They are involved in the cooperative movement's activity. Yeah, and then the livelihood of 3 more billion of peoples, they are secure in this by cooperative movements, right? The cooperative movement is not, gerakan ataupun, entity that's only localized. It has been at the international level also, whereby this United Nations Assembly recognize that the importance or the significance of the cooperative movement in giving the what we call opportunity, and also in enhancing the social and also economic of this livelihood. Actually, that's in chapter 1 that I highlights in terms of what happened in the local and also in the international arena with regard the cooperative movement in Malaysia, because the books are much more focused what happened in Malaysia. The first cooperative movement formed in 1922, right? You all semua pun tak ada, saya pun tak ada lagi, right? It's already formed. It's very what we call very old in terms of the age, right? So 1922. From that, 11 cooperative movement established. Now it has been tremendously grow up. Until now, if I'm not mistaken, is already 50,000 plus registered cooperative in the various type and size, etc., etc. So you can see when the author highlights in the chapter 1 with regard to the cooperative movement around the globe. So that is the chapter 1 that I want to highlight. And of course, in Malaysia, as I mentioned, the government, especially Malaysian government, continuously recognize the cooperative movement. Because at the national cooperative policy mentioned about this, the government want to push this cooperative movement become the 4th engine, group of engine beside service, manufacturing, and also agriculture. So you can see the key point that has been highlighted by the author in chapter 1, so with regard to the cooperative movement around the globe. So continuity from the chapter 1, I proceed with chapter 2, which is development of cooperative movement. That's in chapter 1, the author highlighted in terms of the definition of cooperative movement itself. So to go further, actually, a reader actually need to know what actually defined by this cooperative movement, whereby the cooperative movement is one of the activity. Of course, is more related to this social obligation, but by the end of the day, they're talking about profitability also, right? Right, but the key point here, the cooperative movement established because they want to work together with the cooperative movement member in order to enhance their economic, and also the key point here is works together, right? Works together in order to enhance their livelihood, their income, etc., etc. So that is actually one of the key point that highlighted in the chapter 2. And in chapter 2 also, the author highlight in terms of where actually this cooperative movement started, the historicals, right? So of course we know that the existence of the British colonial in Malaya. So with that regard also, actually the cooperative movement established, at least initiated by this the officer who served the British High Colonial British administration in Malaya in the first decade of the 20th century. Right, from that moment, Malaysian government put forward, I think, put a lot of effort, put a lot of initiative in order to assist, to help, or to give what we call the appropriate assistance to the cooperative movement in terms of incentive, in terms of tax, in terms of subsidy, in terms of so many things that the government continuously, right, what we call put the initiative to the cooperative movement, because they know that the government know that this cooperative movement, if we can maintain, we can sustain, we can preserve the existence of the cooperative movement, finally it will give a lot of benefit, advantage to the society at large, right? So, but the issue of cooperative movement, when I do my study, to maintain the cooperative movement performance, right? Because towards my observations, through my readings, these cooperative movements normally some sort of these affected with this the issue of leaders, the issue of the cohesiveness among the members. And because these are two issues will affect a lot in terms of cooperative movements performance, in terms of course, in terms of profitability. That actually that's in the chapter 2 when the authors highlight this kind of what we call the situation, and finally end up with this the issue that's how this issue can affect the three issues: leadership, group cohesiveness, and the performance that affect the sustainability of cooperative movements, especially in Malaysia. From that chapter 2, right, the chapter 3, the author discuss and also highlight in terms of the organizational performance with regard to the cooperative performance. We cannot deny the importance or the crucials of this performance in every single business entity. So even though the cooperative movement is considered as a social obligation, but by the end of the day, the what we call this performance, regardless whether it's non-financial, financial and non-financial performance, is a measure by these the members, right? In terms of a dividend, in terms of profit, in terms of whatever what we call reward that's guided by this cooperative movement performance. So chapter 3 discuss about the organizational performance, and also in chapter 3 also so discuss about what are the construct actually that we can discuss with regard the cooperative performance. Then in the chapter 3, the author highlighted, right, after thoroughly or critically go through the what we call the bundle of article, right, the author find out that the two determinants that affect the cooperative women performance. The number one is, of course, leadership, right? Leadership. So when we talk about leadership, actually, there is a lot of theory of leadership, right? But the most prominent theory when we regard to the leadership is integrative theory, namely transformational leadership, right? So you can see that the transformational leadership is one of the title, right? There is a very prominence, right? So those who are study leadership, you're familiar with all the behavior theory, trait theory, the democratic theory, but a very prominent one is integrative. Under integrative, very prominent integrative is transformational leadership style. That you can see, this chapter 3 is related to the what we call to the variable, to the topic itself, and also. Again, when we talk about cooperative movement, the definition is more the working together. When we work together, what is the key point that we are more concerned about our cohesiveness, how close we can interact each other in order to give benefit. It's not only to the organization, to the individual, and finally to the community at large. So in chapter 3, this is how I combine the transformational leadership and also group cohesiveness, right? So has been a factor that contribute to the performance, right? So that is under chapter 3. Under chapter 4, the author highlighted, right, when I already pick up the transformational leadership and also group cohesiveness, then the continuity from chapter 3 to chapter 4, when the author highlighted, discussed the transformational leadership and also group cohesiveness in this chapter 4. Yeah, so a very critical discussion toward this chapter 4, which is how the author relates this transformational leadership and also group cohesiveness, right? And of course, after observe and do some of the data collection and analyze, and of course, it's very true and very significant that this what we call this transformational leadership influenced or moderated by group cohesiveness in order to enhance the cooperative movement. So you can see in chapter 4 the importance of the group cohesiveness and also transformational leadership in order to enhance the cooperative movement performance. So the cooperative can experience a good profit, can experience a good goodwills, a good what we call brands, if these two variable, two component, which is group cohesiveness and transformational leadership, are blend together for the benefit of cooperative movement. So it's very interesting when I do some analysis there, I can see a very clear picture. You can see from the phenomenon that I story just now, toward the what we call the evidence that I can prove. Looks transformational leadership is very, very important, as well as a group cohesiveness, because these two major component, when you blend and you analyze, they can what we call enhance the cooperative movement performance. All right. So from that chapter 4, and then of course I would like to to practice it, right? Whether my finding, my result can be practiced, particularly in the context of cooperative movements in Malaysia, right? That's what we call continue in the chapter 5, when the authors talk about or highlight in terms of theoretical and also managerial implications. One of my contributions to this the book actually um, the author want to what we call contribute in terms of further understanding in terms of how important in terms of the degree of group cohesiveness among organizational member. We have to work together. We have to what we call to mix, to bound each other in order to make sure that our organization, our entity, our company, our firms can move towards certain level of performance, regardless is a financial or non-financial what we call performance that we measure. So that is important of group cohesiveness. Actually, that is one of the my contribution actually in this books. On top of that, sir, as a leaders, right, particularly in the context of cooperative movement, leaders need to realize actually the importance of leadership skill, leadership spirit within, because you are lead your members, right? And sometimes you feel that you still blur, you still vague about what type of leadership that you should practice in order to lead certain organizations, right? So a transformational leadership is I could say that is a very comprehensive. It's not what we call the ideal, but there is no scholar mention about this is the ideal leadership style. No, but transformational leadership is some sort is can not 100%, maybe 80% can is a can what we call can transform you as become a good leaders when you particularly in the cooperative movements, what we call cooperative movements environments, right? So that is another contribution. And the last ones in cooperative movements, integration between these transformational leadership dimension and also group cohesiveness with will give a big impact to all the members in cooperative movement because as I mentioned, the fundamental of cooperative movement is about leaders, group cohesiveness, and cooperative movement performance, right? So that actually this in general what has been highlighted by these authors in this book, yeah, and then and I hope that by sharing this book, it will give some of the input and some of the benefits to all the parties that particularly in the cooperative movements sector. Okay, I think I done with my introduction.
Yes, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Dr. Zainal. But I think also the audience agree with me by listening to all the explanation given by Dr. Zainal just now. Okay, it's really inspired me actually. I can see that how much he passionate about the title or about the topic that he put inside this book, right? Okay, now it's actually give us a kind of a lesson that if we really would like to, I mean, inform the world what we know about something, then through book is one of the best way. Yeah, okay, that's actually related to the academics and also related to students, definitely 100%. Okay, and then Dr. Zainal just now already briefly, okay, intensively talking about the content from the chapter 1 to chapter 5, okay, and then also what things that actually inspired him, okay, for reading or to write these books, right? And then again, yeah, I mean, we can see his passion towards the topic itself, right, guys? Okay, especially we have a students here, and also we have a students amongst our audience from the social media platforms over there, all right? Okay, and then we can see that how much that he knows about what he talks about. Okay, and then all these things come from two resources. Number one, from his own experience, okay, from his own what we call this one life story, okay, especially from his late father-in-law, definitely that actually very active in terms of the cooperative movement, okay, and also from his doctorate, okay, research thesis, okay, and then from all his readings and experience that he was working with the industry before. Can you see that all this combination is going to make us able to express ourselves more what we call this one more effectively towards the world. Okay, what we want to say to the world. Okay, we can transform into books, and then people will going to read it. And so hopefully that we're going to learn something from that. Okay, but actually, Dr. Lennon, yeah, talking about this book again, yeah. While you were writing the books, okay, while it's inspired you to do the writings and the readings and everything, so but the books itself actually, you would like to target to who specifically? Meaning that here, who are your target readers, and then how actually this book is going to able to benefit those target readers? Dr. Zainal.
Thank you, Dr. Rahmat. Actually, of course, is very focused. Actually, this book, in the context of a cooperative movement, yeah, because again, that triggered me to write this book from my doctorate thesis. Because initially, actually, this I want to dedicate this book to all the cooperative movement leaders, right? That because looking back in terms of during my data collection, I distribute almost 8,000 questionnaire throughout the Malaysian, right? Which is the questionnaire particularly to all the cooperative leaders, and I get back around 4,000, right, after 6 months of collecting data, right? So dulu nak collect data susah, you kena ada apa ni envelope yang safe, you letak questionnaire, letak envelope, letak stamp dalam tu, post, you tunggu, so cost you a lot, right? But of course, my target reader is cooperative movement leaders, and from that, after I'm happy to highlight here some of the cooperative leader contact me and also share, request me to share, ask me to share my findings actually for especially in terms of the leadership style, that actually they are still invade in terms of what type of leadership style that they need to adopt for the betterment of the cooperative movement. That is very specific, but in general is for public at large lah. All right, because transformational leadership is not mainly for the cooperative movement in sectors. You can apply to so many, because originally transformational leadership is originated from the best and Ovolio, right, and has been applied and has been research in many contexts, military, banking, educations, a lot, right? But during my thesis, the cooperative movement still in terms of limited in terms of the research, right? Thank you.
Yes, I mean, targeting those world leaders, okay, and also public, okay, in general actually, and then I mean, considering how much data you have collected, I mean, then we can see that, okay, how difficult it is to write this book, okay, and then we can see how passionate you are towards the books, definitely. Okay, just a little bit question towards the content of the book, okay, something that actually caught my attention, okay, especially at the chapter 4, yeah, that's where you mention something related to group cohesiveness as a mediator. I mean, how is this possible actually, Doctor? If you can actually elaborate more on this.
Okay, as regards to the group cohesiveness, as I mentioned in the early introductions, by definitions, yeah, the cooperative movement is the activity that consists of the members that works together for the betterment of the cooperative movement itself. So by all means, that's the group cohesiveness is a must. It's a must. That's why it become the mediated. It's a must in order to perform better with regard to the cooperative movement performance. So if there is no cohesiveness, close relationship between the board member, ahli lembaga koperasi tadi, the group, the performance of the performance of the cooperative itself will, I think, is not come to the expectations. Perhaps declining in the performance. There is no profit. There is no good brands, right? Because there is no good relationship among the ahli lembaga koperasi or board members, because they must or compulsory to work together closely, what we call think together, discuss together, in order to make sure that the performance of the cooperative movement at always in the high level. So that's why group cohesiveness is to become the mediator rather than the moderator, right? Because that is what we call the philosophy of the cooperative movement by definition itself, right? So again, why group cohesiveness? Because throughout my reading, right, most of the what we call the issue that's what we call that affect the cooperative movement is the issue of cohesiveness, right?
So meaning that actually group cohesiveness must come between every relationship when we talk about cooperative movement and transformational
Correct,
leadership.
correct.
Meaning that here the final objective is to achieve that transformational leadership.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean this is kind of a last question actually from me. Yeah, because as a moderator, I try to cover as much as I can. Okay, but yes, maybe our references actually is not that the same. Yeah, but anyway, in the conclusion, you did mention here on your own words, I quote, to date, little report has been done to assess the relationship and organizational outcomes of these constructs. Yeah. So why do you think this happened? Why actually until today there are no much actually research that focusing on this topic that you put inside your book?
Okay, that's good. That's a good question actually. Originally, actually, when I embarked to this cooperative movement, um, I agree that it's limited in terms of reference, journals, and also all these material or references that's available actually. And then, but along the way, move forwards in the strategic directions, I can see that the importance of strategic movement. You see, this book actually has been recorded in my doctorate degree quite some time. So now you can see, if you are focused about cooperative movement development, you can see the development is very very fast, and the development is very what we call has been consistently been what we call as part of this government policy in order to push this cooperative movement at a certain level, not just a local, it's international level as well. So that is actually the component or the construct that we want to look into in order to give some input to these cooperative movement sectors. That's why the two construct that has been highlighted is I think is a very important construct for various party to look into in order to become one of the contributions for the cooperative movements performance, and also what we call this moving forward. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we come to the session of question and answer. Yeah, so we would like to collect some any question from our audience currently present with us here at the ARC, and also any question that comes from our audience currently online. So yes, kindly to have your question. Okay, for our writers, this is maybe the only time you're going to have this opportunity, right? So anyone with any questions? Okay. You can ask any question about anything related to the books, related to the background of our writer, yeah, the author of the book, anything at all related to our subject that we are discussing today. Yes, please. Yeah, do we have a question? Yes, please. Yeah. Okay. Morning, yes.
All right. It's very tough questions during my 20 years as education, as academician.
I also have a tough question, but later, later.
All right. So to respond to your feedback, with regard to transformational leadership, right? So as I mentioned, this talking about leadership style, a lot of leadership style has been researched, and as I mentioned, the transformational leadership is integrative leadership style. Under the integrative leadership style is a transformational leadership that's has been what we call has been researched in various contexts, right? Not only cooperative movement, but in others context as well. So, as as um, as you as a transformational leader, right? You have to work with others. That is the most important thing, because transformational leaders, by these bigger definitions, when you can transform. But before the concept of emotional intelligence, when you want to transform others, you have to transform yourself, right? So that is the pillars of transformational leadership. So by transform yourself, and you ready, and you ready that you already 100% that you be transform yourself, then you have to you have to transform the others organizational members to follow. That is characteristic of transformational leadership: shared vision, communication, right, open, etc., etc. If you want to look into a detail, so that actually the first what we call initiative that you have to do. You have to make sure that you fit as a transformational leadership. Then you have to you must transform your followers or your employee, because leaders by definition they work with others, right? So in any entity you cannot work with silo, right? You are the one that able to transform, but you are not able to transform others, right? So so that actually my key points. You have to fit yourself with the transformational leadership style that's abandoned in yourself, and then you ready. Then the second part, you have to transform others as well, right? Mm. A lot of actually case study with regard to this. For example, one of the CEO of this Ford, right? They managed to transform Avon, especially Mary Calloway as well. That's all the transformational leadership. Yeah. All right.
Yes, thank you very much, Doctor. And also to the audience. Yes, do we have any more questions from our audience? Also, we are waiting for any question coming from our online audience. Waiting for it. Yeah, we still have time, you guys, okay, to spend for the question and answer. Yes, we have a question actually from Dr. Firdaus. Thank you.
Oh, okay. This out of context lah, right? Right. Never mind. Uh, talking about leadership style, seperti yang saya maklumkan tadi, there is no scholars can confirm. Look, if you want to lead in banking sector, this is the best leadership style. If you want to lead in the factory, this is the best leadership style. There is no such scholars can permanently confirm on that. There is no best way. The best way actually, whether it's transformational or not transformational, is based on the situations. Based on the situation, sometimes you have to blend it, your leadership style, all right, to address a certain situation or certain issue, right? So, of course, when we talk about leaders, right, they must started, right? The leaders must started from top-down approach, right? Because as a employee, as a staff, we always look at our boss, right? Our boss. We always look at our top management in terms what are the directions that they are heading to, and so that the organization will survive in a very long period of time. So to respond to this to that feedbacks, I think it's a top-down approach. I think it's most appropriate when we want to transform our entity, our units, whether it's macro or micro. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Different situation requires different type of transformational leadership. Yeah. Right. Okay. So yes, I think we have another. We have a time for another one question for the final question. Do we have any question at all? Yeah, from any other audience. Last one. We have another. We have time. Yeah, for just another one question. Yeah. Anything about leadership that you would like to see? Also about the cooperative movement. Yeah, we have group cohesiveness here over here. Yeah, maybe you would like to ask something related to performance. Also can. It's not only related to business and management. Yeah, also can relate to your life as a student. If you have a student here, yeah. Or you would like to suggest something related to the topic of the book. Anything, not only a question, suggestion also. You're going to accept. Yeah. Anything for the last one? Yeah. No more. All right. All right. Okay. So if there's no more question, yeah, I think, Doctor, yeah, this is our session for today. Thank you very much. Yeah. I mean, what we can collect from this session actually is one most important part is the, you know, the what, how much that we are inspired, yeah, okay, by someone who really passionate into the topic that he put and then transform into a book, yeah. So I think, yeah, after this, I also going to write my own book. Yeah, maybe on the time, Doctor, maybe you also can, yeah, we can sit here together. But on that time, I'm going to be the author.
I can become moderator. It's very tough question.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, so that's all for the first session of our book talks today. Okay, again, we would like to take this opportunity to thank our author, Associate Professor.
Thank you very much,
Dr. Zainal, and also we would like to thank the organizer, of course, our UTS book publisher, and also to the ARC, Academic Resource Center, University of Technology Sarawak. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
apologies. Let me repeat. Sorry. Good morning to everyone here and also the one streaming online. Welcome to the first book talk series organized by the UTS publisher and in this lovely venue again in collaboration with the Academic Resource Center, right? So first and foremost, I would like to introduce the book authors online. Can we view? Do we have them online? Anyway, while the IT is now, whether she can see us or not. Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear? Good morning, Dr. Safarina Abdul.
Morning.
And then we also have AR Haris Fazil Abdul Rahman. Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. And we have here live on stage with us is Muhammad Oliver Ansur Salini. So sorry about that. Okay. Right. Are you all right? Streaming online, can you hear us well?
Yes.
Yeah? All right, great. Okay. So again, to everyone, welcome and thank you for joining us at the BTS 1. So today's book, number 2, that we'll discuss is entitled The Conservation of Masjid Al-Qadim in Cebu, Sarawak. All right, there are 3 authors here all together. We will just go very quickly without to talk about the overview of the book itself, and then about maybe 10 to 5 minutes each person, and then after that followed by a Q&A from the audience here, also the ones streaming live with us here. Right. So without any further ado, I would like to invite the first author, all the authors all together, as we are in the theme today, very santai and very chill mode. So nothing is very, very official. So just relax and everybody ease up. Okay. So in the conversation, anyone is freely to speak among all the authors, and there's no queue. So please, maybe I'll just introduce and start calling on AR Harris to talk about your overview of the book.
Assalamualaikum. Very good morning. Thank you, Miss Amy. The book, actually, the book, the idea to produce the book was due to the fact that we are also doing the conservation work on the masjid, on the mosque, Masjid Al-Qadim in Cebu. So while we are doing the research to do the conservation, we found out that we have lack of information, especially on the history and also the methods to restore, especially belian timber. So we thought that once we have completed the conservation work, we thought that it is a good idea to publish the process of the conservation so that it can become a guide, a reference to other conservators, other contractors, other consultants, and stakeholders for them to refer to for doing a similar job. Of course, there are a lot of reference, but all are published in either Europe or the US. And we thought that there should be a special publication related to conservation work in this region, which is I thought is lacking at that time. So it captures the conservation process of the mosque on how to tackle the work, the project itself, from inception, from the analysis, from the research, up to the conservation work itself on site, and how we tackle a lot of problems throughout the project itself. So the book captures not only the process, the work, but it also captures the methods that we also introduce together with the contractors and also the artisans, the like the carpenters and so on. So maybe Prof. Sal wanted to add something on that.
Okay, actually, we have published more than one book on the mosque itself. We have an article, one coffee book, and then another book collaborated with DBP. But this book is different because it is more technical. Okay? It focused on the a detailed conservation methods. Okay, so what else? Okay, and this book, Masjid Al Qadim, is actually very dear to my heart because I was brought up in the area. The mosque was actually the main um, focal point for our village activities. I was probably like maybe less than 5,000 steps, or maybe about 3,000 steps as an adult from my home, my previous home at Kampong Dato to the mosque. So, it is not just an academic, an academic outcomes. It is also kind of nostalgic personally for me. Okay, so it is a very special book. And I hope that through the book, I can contribute to the community of Cebu, because I think like 70% of my life is not spent in Cebu. Maybe, yeah, 60% of my life. Now that I'm back in Peninsula Malaysia. So I'm a bit personal this morning. Okay, I think that's all at the moment from me.
Maybe Oliver want to add something.
Okay, that was quite quick and very fast, a very, very brief summary. Maybe we can go into the aspect of the works, the outcome, the project itself. Knowing that the Masjid Al-Karim itself is very dear to Dr. Safarina and also to Haris and also to Muhammad Oliver. But the thing is, what can we talk about today? Perhaps we discuss on matters such as how was the whole agenda, the first starting of the Sapana, the works, the preliminary that we have to do, that you all have to do in this for the research, and then the outcome, and also maybe a little bit of a span of during the construction perhaps, and during of that as well. We will see a lot of things going on. Maybe we can also summarize them briefly. So it's either Air Harris or Oliver himself, perhaps. Okay, process. So Oliver, please take the microphone. Is it you? Yeah. Switched on. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Annie. I think I just give the background, the summary of how the project was happened before. Okay.
The inception of
The
it.
inception. Initially, this project actually started way back in 2017. Before that, of course, we have to go through certain process. For example, like we have to go look at what are the defects of the existing building.
Okay, that
And then
the Reiki of the building itself.
Yes. So the first stage is we have to look at the original condition.
Okay.
So that falls under the dilapidation survey.
Mm-hmm.
So at first, for my own experience, I think that was my first experience of looking for defects at wooden or timber kinds of building.
Okay.
So there was a lot of, if you still remember, on the original conditions,
Okay.
there was a lot of defects, especially involving, even though the building original material is made of Berlian timber, but because it's already been there and it's been standing for more than 100 years, so it's bound to have many type of defects. For example, like you can see defects on the column, defects on the beam.
Right.
So then after that, once we have gone through the process of looking and also documenting all the defects, and then we start with the procurement, everything, tendering. So actually the actual construction starts around 2017, and then it gone through few stages because of the funding. So actually there are 3 stages. First, we are looking on the initial stage, which is protecting the building first.
Correct.
And then which involved the roof. And then on the second stage was on the building itself, the structure, everything. And then on the third stage, actually the conservation part, what you see now is not the original design of the building, which is the one is more on after retrofitting or what.
Right.
So actually the original part is after first stage and second stage. So it takes around, I know the community of Cebu have been asking when will the project completed last time. So actually,
What year was this when they were asking?
it's not easy to do this kind of project. Even though they said with such kind of funding, why not just demolish and build a new one? I think in terms of conservation, that Architect Haris can answer, have a better answer on that. Why we didn't demolish and then we built a new mosque, but we actually it's better for us to restore. So actually, it 2017, and then the project finally ended in 2022.
Okay.
So total is around 5 years.
Yeah, that's right.
So for a new building, maybe if it were to be demolished, I think so for a such scale, I think 18 months can be completed. But because of the complexity, because of the technicality, the expertise that we need, that's why it took us 5 years. And monitoring it's not easy. We are lucky because we have our conservator, Architect Haris, who actually guided us, the team, and also the contractor as well.
Okay.
So I think basic background on how the project goes, and then how the procurement, documentation, contractual, everything, I think that's wrap it up. Okay.
All right. Okay. So in the book itself, there's a lot of details on the construction itself and a lot of photographs, and you have actually done quite a lot of the findings of all the defects. Like you saying that the building is already, was it being used at the time when you went in, or when you all started, or it's still currently stopped for the public?
During the construction, starting from the mosque was closed from 2017 until 2022.
So it has always been in that position, in that condition when you went in 2017. So it has always been for the public in Cebu to use up the mosque itself until you decide.
Not to be used.
Oh, not to be used,
Yes.
even before that.
During before that it was used as they're still being used until 2017. But during construction, it was closed.
Of course, it stopped. Yeah,
yes,
but before this,
that's why the concern of the community of Cebu, they asked, why can't we use this mosque, and what took you guys so long?
So long, okay,
Yes.
because of course, the understanding of conservation and also to construct new building are two separate issues, two completely different things. Like you mentioned, it can be faster. But the conservation, we will talk about that later. Probably there's questions from the audience when it comes to public awareness. That is one side. Okay, we'll put that in. But let's more talk about in depth of the book itself. Where is the works itself? Maybe Architect Haris can talk about the conservation on looking at the things that's in the books and all the works. How did you recognize and how did you categorize what to do first and what not to do first? Our speakers, are they online?
Yeah. I'm sorry because
Yes.
we are not having this face to face. So there's a bit delay and we have a
Okay.
problem with the sound
Understand.
just now.
Okay.
But anyhow, okay, I'll try to answer as much as I can. Okay, as what Mr. Oliver was saying just now, conservation work, they have a different approach in dealing with conservation works, conservation projects. I mean, compared with new building. Of course, it's easier when people like say just knock it down, build a new one. But of course, it is wrong because it's not following the conservation principles. Where if you are facing if you're dealing with a gazetted building, especially like Masjid Al Qadim, which is one of the treasure, one of the oldest mosques. This is the only mosque now existed in Sarawak, because the previous similar mosque built using timber was demolished back in the 50s and 60s. So it is a national treasure, especially for Sarawak. In dealing with conservation projects, we need to first conserve whatever that we can. Because our approach when doing this type of project is based on the Bara Charter principles, which is do as much as necessary, as little as you can. That means that you have to salvage, you have to restore. But if works are not needed, particular works are not needed, you cannot do or you cannot touch a building just for the sake of repairing. You have to have a strong reason why you're doing it. Of course, it's meticulous. Of course, it's tedious compared to the new projects. And of course, it's more expensive. Of course, it's more expensive. I would say if you build a new mosque, it might be cheaper. But because of the status of the building itself, it's a heritage building, gazetted under the Sarawak Heritage Ordinance. So we have to protect it. We have to conserve it. And in doing conservation works, of course, we have to follow a certain guidelines, certain rules stipulated under the Akta Warisan Kebangsaan, National Heritage Act, and also the Sarawak Heritage Ordinance 2019. And one of the things that we have to do is to do a thorough research about the building. So we need to gather as much information as possible. We have to do extensive research. We have to study the defects, and we have to find a solution on how to repair the building, how to address the defects, because the defects need to be addressed first before we do anything else. Because especially in the tropical country like Malaysia, one of our most enemies in buildings is water. So we have to protect the building from water. That's why when we did the building, we have to protect it by using a temporary roof. So the workers can do their work underneath the temporary roof without any exposure to the sun and the rain. And there are also certain guidelines that stipulated under the Jabatan Warisan Negara, by Jabatan Warisan Negara, sorry, that need us to document thoroughly on the history and also the process of the conservation. So it took a lot of effort, not only from the consultants, but also the contractors in ensuring that everything is captured. That's why one of the reason that we produce the book, so that all the process that we have went through restoring the building is captured in the book. I mean, it's not so detailed, but it's giving other consultants and other contractors and other stakeholders the idea on the extensive of work that need to be considered when doing this sort of project.
Understandable. It is very much of intensive and scrutinizing work and research to actually to do up a building, and conserve it especially. And from the way that Architect Harris has spoken about it, even Oliver as well, it's so much of detail that even I think the ones that you're talking about, the details and the research and the paper documentation, I don't think everything is all captured in here. I think a lot more is still stashed under your desk, I suppose, right? Okay. So anyway, let's do an open discussion. I know the Q&A is not started, but whatever has been mentioned and talked about, there's so many questions and things that I wanted to ask actually. But at the same time, it's going to be an open discussion. I will allow, all right, we shall allow openly to get the audience to ask questions. And I'm sure they have too many things they just want to ask about the conservation process. This is where we categorize into the paperwork and the actual building itself, the selection of materials, it comes in everything. So let's do a very casual, open discussion. Anybody wants to ask anything? Yes, sure, okay.
Can you hear me? All right. Assalamualaikum and good morning. I'm Anis. So my question is, as for the Masjid Al-Karim, the visual, it was under the heritage building or under the ordinance of Sarawak. So under the WN Akta, what is the categories of the building? Because we have a lot of building, heritage building categories such as category 1, category and category 3. So, and also my question is, what is the principle of safeguarding in maintaining the authenticity and remaining the integrity of the building during the conservation process of the masjid? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question.
Thank
Who
you,
was
Anis.
asking the question again? Sorry.
The first under, and the second one is the principle of the safeguarding of the building itself. Am I correct? That means the safeguarding to maintain the authenticity of the building itself. So there are two questions actually.
On kan lah orang nak dengar jawapan. Sorry, Annie. Okay, so the building is actually under category 1. But in Sarawak, because we have autonomy in Sarawak, it is actually under the Sarawak Museum, okay? Which is not, we have an autonomous, unlike the rest of Malaysia, okay? Maybe Haris can explain more on the...
Okay, they have in Malaysia, we have the National Heritage Act, Akta Warisan Kebangsaan 2005. And in Sarawak, we have Sarawak Heritage Ordinance 1993. And then we have the new one, Sarawak Heritage Act. The Sarawak Heritage Ordinance 2019. So if you refer to both act, the category is similar actually. Under Jabatan Warisan Negara, there are 3 categories, of course, 1, 2, and 3. And similar, if you refer to Jabatan not Sarawak Heritage Ordinance, it also has 3 categories. So, but looking at it's not only about the age. Okay, people thought that the older the building, going to be the highest criteria under the categories, category 1 and so on. But actually, it also falls. We have to look for the what you call OUV, outstanding universal value. What is the value of the building in terms of heritage? For example, Masjid Al-Kadim, of course, it has the highest value because it, as what Prof. Sal was saying, the sentimental value to the people of Cebu itself, because it is not only a mosque, but it also acts as a community center. So people will congregate there. A lot of activities happen there, but not now, of course, because there is a new mosque. But you have to consider those criteria as well, because when dealing with heritage, you are looking into the attributes. What is the attributes of those building or monuments, in terms of the history, importance, and so on. So of course, the building alone is more than 100 years old, so it easily will fall under category 1. But we also have to look into the importance of the building in terms of the contribution of the building to the society and the community itself. Okay.
Okay, I just want to elaborate on that because I was the one who were in charge to do a qualitative research on the mosque. when I first did the research, it was not easy because there's no material that I can found. I was like, trying to search for probably 2 weeks at the library at Cebu SMC library. So I read all of the papers, and finally I found one book, but the book was in Mandarin. So I have to ask my Mandarin colleague actually to translate the book to us. So that is another important findings, because this book will actually contribute to documentation of some historical facts about Cebu. It seems that there's not much written on the Malay Muslim in Cebu. So this is, I think, another contribution of the book. We also have interviewed a few stakeholders who were involved. We have interviewed the imam, although most of them are already gone, and friends of the imam, and we have tried to capture as much as possible. I think one of the person that actually helped us out a lot is Pak Den. We call him Pak Den. Apa nama dia? Haji Hamden. So he did give us quite a lot of information. And we even interview the neighbors, the neighboring occupants of the mosque. There are many stories, but of course, not all of the stories were included in the DLab. Okay, for your information, the book is actually a consolidation of all the technical reports that we have done. So the first report was a dilapidation report. So the dilapidation report include a very extensive historical accounts of the mosque and also Cebu and also the Malay Muslim community and how the mosque actually contributed to the Malay Muslim community at that time. So we have generated a timeline, an estimated timeline, okay, of the mosque, how the mosque changed throughout the years. For example, previously there is a minaret, there was also an ablution pond. So in order to create an image that is similar to the original mosque, it was decided that the minaret structure was to be reinstalled. Although the methods and materials are not the same. Okay, and the ablution pond was also rebuilt almost at similar location. However, we have problems because most of the mosque compound was actually taken up by the road, okay, due to rapid urbanization and the needs for bigger roads for logistic in demand in Cebu, since the mosque is quite near to RPA, Rejang Port Authority, and the main junction. Okay, so what else? So again, as A.R. Haris has mentioned, the outstanding universal value is very important. So when you are doing a conservation work, you have to prove that the structure or the building in relation to the community. So it is not just a one piece or a fragmented research. You need to come out with a holistic research that tie up the whole thing together. Okay, so that is a very strong fundamental findings that justify the conservation of the mosque. Okay, I think I will leave it to Annie first. Probably there are more questions after this.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Savarina. Actually, listening to the statement made just now, I think the involvement is holistically look into one, targeted into the building itself, two, the surrounding and the built environment, and three, the community that the people, especially around it, the users of the space. These are the ones very, very much of the concern. And of course, what Dr. Savarina has mentioned earlier part, the research, the raw the raw document for the very beginning is very scarce to find. It's hardly there. I think it really involves a lot of effort and we will talk about it afterwards. A lot of emotional ups and downs as well, I suppose. All right. Okay. Does that answer the second part of the question, which is the principle of safeguarding? Because they did mention that they do admit that it's not 100% as per the original building, especially the minaret, but they do come close. So do you want to go further with that question or any more other questions? Okay, to all three authors, the question is on the safeguarding for the structure itself. How was it done? How was it looked into? Can anyone answer that? Air Harris?
Oliver can answer that.
Or,
I think Oliver can answer that.
okay, Oliver.
Okay. If your questions is more to how many percent original structure, right? Original material, right? I can say actually 70% are still original. So the another 30%, it's either, for example, one beam. Actually, the process is one length of beam. If there is any defect, we will either cut the defected one, and then we will join it with a new but same material or same species, timber species. So which means we are maintaining the original material. And then the one that I mentioned, 70% is original, and another 30% is actually is either joining with original material, with new but same species of material. Okay.
Does that answer the question? Okay. Any other questions before?
Can I add?
Yes, please.
Can I add? Sorry, santai kan? Lari pula.
Kena lari sebab ada question.
No, I just want to add.
Hello.
Before that, I would just want to add. Okay, just want to add. Just 1 minute. I just want to add. Because you have to remember, earlier I talked about the conservation principle. Do as much as necessary, as little as you can. That means that you try to retain as much of the original fabric and structure as possible. Especially we are dealing with the Belian timber is very unique to Sarawak and Borneo. Eusaideroxylon zoageri, that's a species of that timber. It's very, very hard to find Belian timber nowadays. So what we do is we try to minimize this, cutting all those unnecessary or defects on the wood itself. So that's mean, as what Mr. Oliver was saying, that we need to, if the timber is still good, let's say 30% is still good, 70% rotted, we still salvage it. Okay, we still salvage it because we want to retain as much authenticity of the moss as possible. So that's why we will introduce new timber and we fix it to the old timber by the method of what I call a proselytization. Okay, you add new timber to the old one. The terms actually I coined the terms. I found out that that's the best term to explain or to name after those methods. Okay, so don't worry, we are not just chuck away all those materials without reasons. Okay, that's why we try as best as possible just to retain whatever that we can and repair rather than replace. Okay, thank you.
Hello, good morning. My question is based on, what you said just now, that the conservation of Masjid Al-Khadim is based on the Baraj Charter conservation principle. Do as much as necessary and as little as possible. I think through our measured drawing class, we have also come across a few community-based buildings which go back to about 1800 or early 1900, but they seem to have a different outlook, different worldview in how they would want to conserve their building. Some go all the way radical, some go to the other end of the spectrum. So this is just something that, a hypothetical question. If you can go back in time, right, and restart this project all over again, and you have all the limiting factors removed, how would you redo this project and why?
Yeah,
That's a
can
long
you
question.
measure drawing? Which measure drawing? What is the question again? Sorry.
Okay, I think let me just shorten the question. Right. Dr. Sanjay is talking about looking into hypothetically, right? It's not like the actual question, right? But if taking away all the disadvantages, limiting factors, how would you look into Masjid Al-Qadim, and would you do the same process again to restructure, to conserve, or to do similar along the way, or completely different if you take away all the limited factors? And
Yes, we're going
questions,
to
and
do
why?
to use the same way, because the method is actually a standardized method. You have to produce a dilapidation report first, because you need to identify what are the defects. And from our dilapidation report, we have found out that there have been many repair or unnecessary repair, which actually destroy the mosque instead of, upgrading the condition of the mosque. For example, before the conservation, they have actually lined up tiles into the mosque, and that actually aided in more load to the mosque. And the mosque, one of the reason why the mosque is like a bit slanted to the graveyard is because of the load, unnecessary load that the mosque have to bear for years and years. So the first thing that we actually did when we do the conservation process was to clear all the tiles and to expose the flooring, the original timber flooring, because the flooring cannot breathe for so long. And there was also unnecessary ornaments that the mosque have to bear as well. For example, and other utility, I think the most serious utility added into the mosque was the toilet, and the female toilet and the ablution areas, and also a utility room. That area was, I think, the most serious place, the most serious space that we have to restore. Okay, so there's a lot of wet, rot, damp, and even we have to replace the Belian column in those areas. So it shows that if you are not careful when you are doing renovation, you can actually destroy the building instead of saving the building. So we are going to continue with the similar methods. And the methods that we have done was so intricate. The building do not use nails, so we conserve the use of dowels, DOWELs, okay, in the flooring, and also part of the
Beam?
the wall as well. We actually use dowels. We actually took a very, careful and intricate work. And fortunately, the contractor was very cooperative, and they were also very innovative. We learn from each other, okay, instead of us just showing them what to do it. So it was a very challenging, and yet it was a beautiful experiences for us, especially when the whole conservation process was completed. Probably Air Harris want to add some more on.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the question. I think the question was asking whether if we are going back in time, whether we'll do the same similar building, right? Am I right? Using the same
Yes.
method? Yeah, because I think that is the I'm not saying that's the best method, but that is the traditional method doing buildings. Yeah, top down. We are doing traditional method. I mean traditional material as well, timber. And if I'm going back to time, sorry, in back in 1800s, 1866, something like that. So I'll do a similar thing. I'll do the same building. I'll do the same method. I'll do the same material. Because the thing is, once the building age, there are many factors which will contribute to the defects. It's not only climate factor. It's not only environmental factor, but other factors as well as what uh, Prof. Sal was saying just now. I think the most dangerous factor are human intervention. So when they didn't do any proper maintenance or they do a dodgy works in terms of extensions and addition to the building, that will affect the most to the heritage building, because weather we cannot do anything. The weather is one of the natural causes in defects. But the most dangerous are human, and the disaster created by the human. So if I'm going back to time, I'll do the same thing. But the thing is, how do we protect? How do we maintain the building? That is the most important. So we will need to educate people when we are dealing with not only this type of building but new building, the maintenance and how to maintain those building to make sure it'll stand. Well, it'll stand for ages, for the next generation to enjoy. Okay. Because knowing this is a bit sensitive issues, knowing that what happened in Malaysia, maintenance culture is quite, I mean, lacking. Yeah.
Thank you, Haris and Dr. Safrina, for explaining quite an extensive in the sense. Does it answer your question? More or less, right? So in the way, so what they're trying to say is because of what they went through, the experience with all those grits and pieces, I don't think they want to change much, okay? It will go the same way, they'll still do the same thing, even if without the limitations that they are facing. They'll still do the same routine because I think it's, at the end of the day, it's the sentimental value, it's the hard work value, it's the rewards that comes with it, the satisfaction that really comes to one. Right. Any other questions? Maybe from the architecture team, perhaps. There's so many questions. If you look through, I know that the books are all over here. I do have a lot of questions to ask. Anybody want to ask anything else? Let's look at the chat box. Anything? Any questions? Okay. So far no questions. Right. Anyone? Any questions? Yes? Yeah, okay, great. From architecture team.
Good morning, Sophia here. Just one question. Just moving forward into Cebu town urbanization, gentrification in Cebu. So we have this Cebu redevelopment plan and so on, 2022, 2020, 31. So how do you think this Masjid Al-Qadim will stand with the factors of community come-ins, the enlargement of the roads, the development plan of Cebu? Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia. It's more of the infrastructure as well, all in, right? You're talking about the growth and expansion of the environment around it. So any takers on the question?
Yeah, the future of Masjid Al-Qadim will not be affected by any development. As a matter of fact, with more rapid urbanization and modernization, it will, as a matter of fact, enhance more the unique vernacular architecture of the mosque. Okay, and then I also understand that new development in Kampong Datuk will actually replicate vernacular housing. Okay, so that will actually jive with Masjid Al-Qadim. And probably in terms of scale, previously in the olden days, the mosque in terms of scale is bigger compared to the vernacular housing, kampong housing. But probably in terms of scale, it will be smaller because the shop houses, although in Cebu the height of the building is being controlled, right? So I don't think there will be much impacts. I would just like to add on, our main worry now is that if there is a CMP is actually conservation management plan, of which we did not implement or prepare for the mosque. We are hoping that the local authority should control the incoming and outcoming of traffic near, going near the mosque, because the traffic, especially huge container liner, actually will affect the structural integrity of the building. If only somebody can ban, huge container, because the mosque is quite near to Rejang Port Authority. Because in the long run, this, movement will also affect the structural integrity of the building. Probably Haris
Understandable.
can.
Well, the site is gazetted anyway. The site is gazetted under Sarawak Heritage Ordinance 2019. And nowadays, there are more awareness on the importance to protect our heritage. And there has been discussion and workshops on how to zone each particular town or cities within Sarawak to protect those heritage areas. So by zoning, okay, by similar to what have been done in Penang and also Malacca, by introducing the core and buffer zone. So when we did another project, when we did the Lau King Hau Memorial Hospital, panjang nama dia ni. Lau King Hau Hospital Memorial LK
Hospital Museum.
Lau King Hau Hospital Memorial Museum. When we did that, we have the opportunity to prepare the CMP, the Conservation Management Plan, and also the impact assessment, as what mentioned by Prof. Sal. So whenever that I have the opportunity, and my team have the opportunity, my team include Prof. Sal, Mr. Oliver, and a few of lecturers from SBE. So if you have that opportunity to produce the those type of document, because those documents are very important. So normally we would suggest the core and the buffer zones protect those heritage monuments and buildings or site. Okay, so that it can be a reference to Jabatan Museum Sarawak, the state government, the local authority. So whenever there is a future development closer or near or within the heritage zone, they will know what to do in terms of, because we will include policies and guidelines within those documents as well. So in a way, more and more authorities in Sarawak now is aware about those documents that is important, because heritage is not about old buildings, not about old things, but it is also about tourism as well. It can attract tourists. So if we can protect our heritage areas, so it should be it's a boost of income to the local authority as well. So for me, I'm not worried, but now in terms of how to protect those heritage areas, because as I said, it's been stipulated under the Sarawak Heritage Ordinance that we need to protect such sites or monuments or buildings. And also nowadays, JMS, Jabatan Museum Sarawak, and also state government is aware about the importance of the CMP as well. So with the CMP, if it is been prepared, so it can be one of the documents, a reference document later in the future for any development. So I hope that maybe SBE under Mr. Oliver or under the new dean can take the challenge to produce a CMP for Cebu. Okay, maybe we are the only, Cebu is the only local authority which have a CMP for their heritage areas.
Yeah, I just want to add in, can you give me opportunity? I
Definitely,
think
take all the time.
placemaking placemaking in Cebu is kind of, not so organized since I'm trained as a town planner. So we actually try to develop placemaking as well. Placemaking is actually planning in between buildings. So we should not ignore the spaces, the public spaces, or sometimes it can also include private spaces. We should take into account whenever you design a building, you should take into account spaces in between buildings. Okay, so we have actually see a good positive result between Lucky's building and the mosque. There is some placemaking, softscape, landscape that you can see as a result of the conservation. Fortunately, both building were owned by the same entity, Lucky's, Lembaga Kebajikan Islam Cebu. So it was a bit easy. And you can also see some improvement if you walk along the old graveyard. So they're trying to upgrade in terms of placemaking so that it is more friendly to the public. Okay, in terms of livability, in terms of walkability. So probably the one of the main points that should be considered when you are preparing the CMP is trying to connect all those important buildings from Masjid Al-Qadim to Lau King Hau Memorial Hospital to the pagoda. And if you can identify all of these heritage spots, you will be able to design a good, urban design, a good placemaking for Cebu. Okay, especially near the old town areas, because there are a lot of historical things, historical stories that can be documented. Okay, I think that is all that I can say on the placemaking part. Bagi Oliver nak cakap. I think we should give opportunity to Oliver. Macam kita orang concur je.
It's okay. He's letting it all the way for both of you as well. I think that was an excellent remark, excellent statement, excellent proposal to have a new placemaking in Cebu. And I love the idea of placemaking, which are spaces in between buildings, very much of interior architecture. Talking about that, it was mentioned just now, the three major heritage area, it's like a triangle. It's like a golden triangle in Cebu. You have all these three big bash sound of building, and its first one is being conquered. There you go, the evidence of it in the book. And the second one is along the way, right, Oliver? Yeah, hopefully. And the third one is coming soon. Right, now to sum up, probably, any words, Oliver, that you want to say? Because both, I have to do officially first. Dr. Safarina and Architect Haris has mentioned so much about the growing pains that comes along with the book, the the emotional, the physical, the hardships, the things that you went through. This is not looking into the details where I have 5 questions which are not even asked yet, one, and looking at the interior bit. So let me just wrap up in all this. Among all these things that you mentioned earlier, okay, for the documentation, the research, the ones that you can't find any details on background research, then you come to the preparation, the drawings, then finally to the construction phase. What is, of all 3 of you that you can decide, the biggest challenge that you face when you were doing this?
Okay, for my experience, this is my own experience. Okay, as I mentioned just now, if a normal construction, it will only takes, I think maximum will be 3 years. But for this little building, it takes 5 years. So you can imagine how much time, how much effort, and then how much intensity in terms of negotiating with the contractor, because we know in construction, contractor will always go for the easiest method and also the cheapest. But
Correct.
we have to control. So everything in terms of communicating with the contractor and then looking for solutions, because in terms of conservation, you cannot just simply do as what you like. So you have to find the best solutions, which is actually will comply with conservation standards. And also you have to talk with contractor, you have to advise to them. And then luckily our contractor, they have the effort of looking for solutions. So there is some, I think there is one advantage for this project in terms of working with the contractors. And overall experience, I think, like I said, 5 years compared to 3 years experience, that is more than enough for me.
Okay. That's a lot of things that you have to swallow. It's part of human management as well, and part of the building environment and management as well. All right, we have come to an end to the session. We have to close all questions. So anyways, really a big thank you to all the authors here, Dr. Safarina, okay, Architect Haris, and Mr. Oliver himself here, physically here. So much have been captured within past hour, a lot more actually. But it's just a wonderful book here. It's purchased of price of 100 ringgit, okay, under UTS publisher. And to close up today's event, again, thank you so much. But congratulations, this is actually the first book talk series, and Masjid Al-Qadim, yay, it's one of it in the very first series, okay. Thank you so much everyone for being here, and thank you again, and have a good day, all right? Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye.